Okay, so I thought I'd just do a really quick tutorial. This is something that I've just tried doing. I've done a lot of paper dyeing, but I just tried this technique, so I think these are going to turn out pretty cool and very aged looking. As you can see, it's very, the edges are really cool and they're turning out cool. Very aged, dyed, distressed. So what I'm doing is I found this sketch pad at Goodwill Outlet, and it has kind of a, I don't know if you can see it here. This is really white, and this is kind of a manila color. It's kind of yellowed a little bit. I'm not sure what company makes this. It doesn't have any labels or anything on it. It's somebody's used sketch pad that has a lot of blank paper in it. So it's just a pretty large sketch pad. So I'm tearing the paper out of that. I made up some green tea with just some extra tea bags that I had, and I also made up some regular tea. And with the green tea, I'm just grabbing a tea bag and rubbing it down the edges first. Sorry if this is not going to work out too well with one hand, but this is taking a little longer. But just quickly run. Usually I hold the paper down with the other hand, so just quickly run down the edges, because you want the edges really wet. But you can see it's not just like super slopped on there. It's not like pooled or anything. It's just enough to get the paper wet. And this paper is just really kind of flimsy, porous, I guess. So it's really soaking up that tea pretty quick. So I'm really just basically wiping the tea bag across it. I'm not putting a ton of tea on it. Now after it's wet like this, and you can see it's starting to soak into the paper pretty good, then I'm just taking my fingernails, and kind of on the board like this, and I'm getting that nice feathered edge. Wrinkling up those edges, those corners. Just really kind of squishing them up. Squish them down, do the bottom. The more torn and feathered, the better. You can also, like, tear a little hole in the paper like this. Okay, after that's done, then you're going to take your regular tea bag and just kind of lightly pounce it a few times just to give the paper a little bit of color. And on the edges, you're going to really pounce it good. You see how it's really soaking up that color? I think these are going to turn out pretty cool. I'm not putting a whole lot in the center. I'm mainly focusing on the edges, and then I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to do the other side as well. I'm going to do this area right here that's got that tear in it, just to really kind of accentuate it. And I don't want a lot of the same design, because I don't want it to make it look like it's done on purpose. And then just a little bit here and there. And that is turning out pretty darn cool. So after that, I bring it over here to a paper towel so that it can soak up a little bit of that excess. And then once it's done on the paper towel, I move it to a drying rack and bring over the next one carefully, because they're pretty fragile. And I'll lay it on the paper towel to soak up the excess, because it's not super wet, but it is wet enough. So after it's done on the drying rack, then I bring it over here to the toaster oven, which I have set on 200 degrees. And as you can see, this has been in here for about 5 minutes so far. You can really see it's really starting to kind of wrinkle up, and it's getting a nice age look to it. So hopefully, I'm hoping that You see how this has the lines on it? I was hoping that putting it on the paper towel and kind of drawing out some of that moisture, it would avoid some of those drying rack lines. So I'm just going to kind of move these around a little bit more. These are almost done here, so I'm just going to kind of move those around a little bit. We'll see how those do. Okay, so these turned out pretty good. I like how they really dried lighter color, so they're not super dark, they're not overly dyed, they just have a really nice, subtle aging look to them. These are going to be great for all kinds of really cool projects. I really like how these turned out. I'm definitely going to try this again. They dried a lot faster than just dipping them into the dye, so this is pretty cool. Oh, I just love all the texture and the beautiful feathered edges and the vintagey look style to these papers. And this is definitely going to be my go-to process for dyeing papers from now on. Thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and go ahead and comment below because I do really love talking to everyone. Have an awesome day.